After the name Atlas appeared, all known clues began to rearrange themselves. In the past few days, they have seen one node after another. The qualification lock of security data. Candidate for the center of the White Tower learning space. Slot correction position of Mingda Hospital. Proof of stability at the South District Citizen Service Center. Birth and death contamination of life cycle data integration. Safe transfer of missing persons system. The rebase of the New Harbor Old Campus. The version room at the North Bank Archive Center. Each node looks different. But now, they are all connected by a larger thread. Atlas. Reality baseline graph. Xinhuan put all the nodes on a map. Identity layer, household registration, birth, death, name change, disappearance. Eligibility level, social welfare, medical assistance, educational support, subsidies. Medical layer, emergency, sleep, psychological support, slot, medical plugins. Narrative layer, rebase, version room, live broadcast, witness attack. Transfer layer, logistics, safe transfer, temporary stability pod. Model layer, Anshu, White Tower, GovStable, narrative core. Each level has a common action. Turn an uncertain person into a manageable person. This is a necessary function of the system. Identity needs to be established. Medical needs judgment. Social welfare needs to be reviewed. Policing needs assistance. Families need to understand. Society needs narrative. The problem is that Atlas changes processable into available for correction. Anyone who cannot explain clearly will be rebused. Anyone who refuses must be stably confirmed. All missing persons must be transported. Anyone who dies must be treated as a stable sample. All newborns must be marked in advance. Anyone who witnesses will be attacked or absorbed. Anyone who cannot represent themselves will be replaced by another version. Lin Yao looked at this picture and felt the scale of Atlas for the first time. It's not a single-point conspiracy. Rather, it is a system that consolidates all the fuzzy states of reality into a correction benchmark. What Luo Wentz is doing is not simply controlling individuals. He is trying to control how reality recognizes a person. Tang Jinghan looked at the picture and his voice was deep. If Atlas really exists, it cannot be completed by Luo Wentz alone. He Chuan said. It exploits too many existing systems. The second research group, Anshu, White Tower, Hospital, Government Outsourcing, Logistics, and Archive Center. A lot of people may not know the full picture. Shinji Bai said coldly. Not knowing doesn't mean you have no responsibility. Lu Qingxin added. But we can't regard all participants as masterminds. This is another real problem. Atlas is a combination of many legitimate needs, outsourcing conveniences, research residues, institutional loopholes, commercial motives, and Luo Wentz's control. If only Luo Wentz is captured, the structure of Atlas may still exist. If all units were completely liquidated, the city system would collapse. So the layers must be broken down. Lin Yao wrote on the whiteboard. Atlas responsibility level. The first level, Master Control Designer. Level 2, those who knowingly promote contamination. The third level, those who let things go in the name of efficiency, outsourcing, and models. Level 4, on-site performers who are deceived or misled. Level 5, those who are forced to become part of the process after being victimized. These 5 layers must be separated. Otherwise Luo Wentz can take advantage of the confusion. If everyone is called an accomplice, the 4th and 5th levels will be afraid to testify. If everyone is called a victim, the 2nd and 3rd tiers will escape responsibility. Responsibilities need to be layered. It's like versions are layered. Data should be stratified. consent needs to be layered. Along the way, Lin Yao understands more and more that the biggest fear in reality is not complexity. Rather, it reduces complexity into a simple conclusion. A system prompt appears. New module, Atlas Responsibility Layering. Effectiveness, avoid total stigmatization or total immunity. New rule, responsibility needs to be stratified, and victims cannot automatically become perpetrators because they are forced to participate. This rule is very important to Jiang Rui, Gu Mingxia, Lin Chang'an, logistics managers, service center managers, and even some low-level Anshu employees. Some people do the wrong thing, but they may not know the whole story. Some people are taken advantage of, but they may also have hurt someone else at some point. Layering responsibilities is not about letting people run away. It's about allowing the truth to be told. When Qin was tracking the Atlas springboard, he discovered a strange phenomenon. All nodes were briefly connected to a common time period. Not a common IP. Not a shared server. Instead, the windows are synchronized together. From 3:15 to 3:27 every day. 12 minutes. In these 12 minutes, Anshu, White Tower, Mingda Plugin, GovStable, Rebase, and Narrative Core have all synchronized summaries to the outside world. Synchronized content is not complete information. Rather, it is a baseline update. Who is marked as stable? Who is marked for correction? Who is transported? Who was rebased? Whose version is currently missing? Whose version can be made public? Whose data needs to be cleaned? In other words, Atlas may not be connected all day long. It may only receive baseline updates from each node once per day. Lin Yao asked. Next synchronization? Qin looked at the time. 3:15 in the morning. It's now 11:40 at night. 3.5 hours to go. The statement immediately said. We can wait for it to synchronize and catch up. He Chuan reminded. The risk is high. If the other party discovers that we are tracking it, it may initiate cleaning or reverse contamination. Tang Jinghong said. But this may be the only chance to position Atlas. Lin Yao looked at the synchronization chart. You can't just chase. You also need to feed it a benchmark that it can't make mistakes. Everyone looked at him. Lin Yao said. Atlas receives baseline updates. If we just track it, it will change lines. But if we had all nodes synchronized with the same set of unavailable for correction benchmarks, it might be forced to process. Qin eyes moved. You mean to turn the rules we established these past few days into a baseline update and send them back? Yes. Not data. Not an individual case. It's a rule base. My version may be temporarily unavailable. Agreed, not fusible. Living people cannot be benchmarked. Certification shall not create an obedient advantage. Assistance in searching for a missing person does not mean consent to correction. Death registration shall not require stable confirmation. Newborns may not assume caregiver correction status. Separation of privacy protection and liability ceiling. Harmful words must not be overridden by harmless words. If these rules are synchronized to Atlas in the form of legal updates for each node, it will encounter conflicts. Because the core logic of Atlas is to consolidate the fuzzy state into a correction benchmark. The core logic behind the establishment of the Obsidian City defense line is to allow fuzzy states to be received in layers without being corrected. The two sets of benchmarks conflict. Atlas will either reject it, either expose the processing location, or be forced to downgrade certain supplementary categories. Yi Jiwei whispered. It's like feeding it a set of counter baselines. Lin Yao nodded. It's not an attack. It is a new rule for legal nodes to report back to themselves. Tang Jinghan understood. Government node report process collaboration network rules. Shen Jibai picked up. Mingda returns the medical triage agreement. He Chuan said. The second research team reported the old interface seal and the original sleep-talking hypersensitivity. The statement said. Fieldwork reports that correction positions, transfers, and base relocation are high risks. Xin Wan said. The version room reports that the version layering and personal version are currently missing. This will be the first time an urban defense baseline has been proactively entered into Atlas. The risk is extremely high. But if it succeeds, we can catch up with the core of Atlas. Lin Yao named this operation Anti-Baseline Synchronization. A system prompt appears. Mainline Operation Generation, Anti-Baseline Synchronization. Objective: send the urban defense baseline to the Atlas routine synchronization window, forcing it to expose its processing path or reduce the effectiveness of the correction baseline. Risk: Atlas may reversely pollute nodes, tamper with rules, and initiate large-scale cleaning. Suggestion: send multiple nodes at the same time, seal the responsible words and lock the timeline first. Lin Yao looked at the prompts and knew that the real offensive battle in the second half of the third season had begun. At 3:15 a.m., they were no longer just defending. For the first time, they want to send Obsidian's counter-correction rules into the heart of Atlas. Underscore 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 underscore. At 2:40 in the morning, the whole city seemed to be pressed under a layer of transparent glass. There are still cars on the streets. The hospital still has emergencies. The social welfare system still has night schedules. The police political consultative conference is still in operation. But for Lin Yao and others, the real time is only 35 minutes. 3:15. The Atlas routine synchronization window opens. 12 minutes. Within 12 minutes, all nodes connected by Luo Wentz will report the latest benchmark to Atlas. In the past, it recycled supplementary information. Who is stable? Who is unstable? Who needs rebase? Who can be transported? Whose personal version is blank? Whose death information may be retained? Whose dependents have completed the wrong authorization? Who can be pushed to slot? Tonight, Lin Yao will send back another set of benchmarks. Not an attack program. Not a virus. It's not fake information. Rather, it is the realistic boundary that has just been established for each legal responsibility node. Urban Defense Baseline. All the nodes on the long table of the Su Family Guild Hall have been connected. At the end of Mingda Hospital, Shen Jibai was sitting in the emergency office with a cold face. On his screen were medical triage protocols. Physical incidents should be treated first, not correction. Medical consent and amendment consent are separated. Emergency medical exceptions cannot be outsourced. Medical support can be retained, but correction guidance needs to be divested. At the City Hall, Tang Jinghan was sitting in the information management room. Behind him is the monitoring screen of the process collaboration network. Do not build a centralized case database. Error files can be withdrawn. Proof must not create obedience advantages. The temporary name shall not be entered into the household registration for judgment. Birth registration cannot be connected to stable confirmation. Death registration shall not require stable confirmation of survivors. On the third field team's end, the report organizes high-risk types into archive summaries. Correction position. Safe transport disguise. Changji. Narrative correction position. Version room. Realistic correction of the production line. On the second research team side, He Chuan silently guarded the old interface storage station. He could no longer be just an observer tonight. Because Atlas utilizes the benchmark research interface left by the second research group. This time, he had to personally turn the old interface into a legitimate return node for the anti-benchmark. Yi Jiwei was monitoring the pollution waveform. She knew better than anyone that Atlas would not passively receive. It will filter. We'll ask back. We'll try to retranslate the urban defense line benchmark into corrective language. Xinhuan is responsible for the most important synchronization package. The sync package does not contain case data. Does not contain the original text of Dream Talk. Does not include medical records. No tentative name details included. It only contains rules, responsibility words, version timelines, archive indexes, and node declarations. Each item is signed by the responsible unit. It's not Lin Yao's rules alone. It is a counter-replenishment and correction benchmark jointly signed by the city's defense line. Lin Yao sat in the middle of the long table. The metal box was placed in front of him. The book of responsibilities is unfolded. There are not a lot of names on it. Rather, they are rules that have been tested in reality. Living people cannot be benchmarked. Group norms cannot be cancelled by individual withdrawal. Can be accompanied by instability. Agreed, not fusible. Emergency medical exceptions cannot be outsourced. Certification shall not create an obedient advantage. My version may be temporarily unavailable. Regression is not archiving. Harmful words must not be overridden by harmless words. Separation of privacy protection and liability ceiling. Safe text increases choices, while dangerous text narrows choices. These rules did not exist from the beginning. Behind everyone there is a person, a mistake, a position that almost got swallowed up. Little missed. Su Ru watching. Blank. Not replaced. Fong Yuan. Gao Zhe. Jiang Rui. He Wenhao's father. Some of those names are clear, some are missing, and some cannot be made public. But together they gave shape to the city's defense. 2:59. Xinhuan said. All nodes are ready. 3:03. Tang Jinghong reported. The city government process collaboration network has locked the version. 5 minutes past 3. Shinjibai reported. Mingda medical triage agreement locked. 3 and 7. Statement return. The field high-risk classification and responsibility word ceiling table are locked. 3 and 9. He Chuan reported. The old interface of the second research group has been converted to read-only storage, and the anti-baseline reporting channel is ready to be released. 10 past 3. Yi Jiwei whispered. The pollution background is starting to rise. The waveforms on her screen rose slowly like black water. Not a violent attack. But the breath before synchronization. Atlas is waking up. 3.14 minutes and 50 seconds. Everyone is quiet. Lin Yao put his hand on the metal box. 10 seconds. 9 seconds. 8 seconds. 7 seconds. 6 seconds. 5 seconds. 4 seconds. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. 1 second. 3:15. The synchronization window opens. All screens flashed simultaneously. No names appear in Atlas. Just a huge black empty frame. Like an unfinished city map. Xinhuan pressed sync. The first wave of anti-baseline sending. My version is temporarily unavailable. Atlas responded. The temporarily missing status reduces data integrity. Process collaboration network returns. Integrity of information shall not exceed my right of narration. Send out the second wave. Agree that it cannot be fused. Atlas responded. Multi-source agreement can improve service efficiency. Municipal government data management return. Multi-source consent must maintain purpose boundaries and shall not be merged into core authorization. The third wave is sent out. Emergency medical exceptions cannot be outsourced. Atlas responded. Outsourcing reduces response time. Shinjibai directly sent back a medical responsibility statement. The life-saving responsibility cannot be automatically delegated by the outsourced stabilization system. The fourth wave is sent out. Proof must not create obedience advantages. Atlas responded. Proven to improve collaboration convenience. Tang Jinghong replied. Convenience shall not cause delays, rejections or increase the review burden for those who do not hold the certificate. The fifth wave is sent out. Returning is not archiving. Atlas responded. Unarchived cases are difficult to support. Statement return. Support can be established in the gap, supplement and correction mechanism, and convenience versions are not allowed. The empty black frame begins to deform. It's like a huge system is trying to translate these rules into fields it can understand. But everyone stuck it. Because these rules are not simply a lack of information. They are against Atlas logic of pressing people into benchmarks. 318. Yi Jiwei suddenly said. It starts reverse classification. Atlas generates new labels for anti-benchmark packages. Incomplete. Low efficiency. Manpower required. Unstable. Not modulable. Xinhuan's eyes lit up for a moment when he saw the last one. Not modulable. Lin Yao immediately said. Grab it. Not being modulable is a rejection of Atlas. It cannot incorporate urban defense rules into the model, so it is marked as non-modularizable. As soon as this label appears, it means that Atlas is exposing its own classifier. Yi Jiwei and Xinhuan traced the source of the tag at the same time. Paths are open layer by layer. Gov stable. Narrative core. Rebase. Slot. And Shu Yun. White Tower Medical Cooperation backstage. Finally, all lines point to a deep node. Atlas Grid / Taipei Mirror. Taipei Mirror. Xinhuan held his breath. The mirror node was found. Not the console. But at least it's Atlas's mirror image in the city. The location remains obscured. But its processing path was exposed. Lin Yao whispered. Keep sending it. The sixth wave. Hazardous words must not be covered by harmless words. Atlas responded. Safe naming may cause over-alertness. Responsibility word seal table return. The legal characterization needs to be investigated, and the safe naming cannot be made harmless. The seventh wave. Separation of privacy protection and liability sealing. Atlas responded. Responsible sealing increases data preservation risks. Data governance representative returns. Case identification can be minimized, harm mechanisms cannot be deleted. The eighth wave. Association with missing persons does not mean consent for correction. Atlas responded. Family authorization can increase the efficiency of search assistance. Process collaboration network returns. Assisted search authorization is limited to finding people and may not be transferred to the system for correction, transfer, or refoundation. 322. The path to Atlas mirroring is becoming clearer. It is like a black skeleton hidden behind the urban data flow. Every bone is connected to a reality system. But now, these bones are starting to sound unusual alarms. Anti-baseline pollution. Too many artificial boundaries. Model closing failed. Correction of path blocking. Need to activate priority cleaning. Prioritize cleaning. Lin Yao's heart sank. Atlas finally responded. It's no longer just about classification. It prepares to clean up anti-baseline sources. 323. The first alert came at Mingda Hospital. Medical triage protocols are tagged. Hinders the efficiency of external psychological support, it is recommended to roll back. Shinjibai sneered. Dreaming. He directly activated the adverse event security lock in the hospital. The second alert appeared on the City Process Collaboration Network. Version records are marked as Provisional Draft, pending formal review. Tang Jinghong immediately locked it with Data Security Incident Permissions. The third alarm occurred in the second research group. The old interface archive status is marked as Research suspension requires review and storage is suspended. He Chuan's face darkened and he raised his voice in the communication for the first time. No delay. This is a polluting interface. He personally reviewed the seal. The fourth alert appears in the version room archive. My version is currently missing and is marked as insufficient information, external version is required to supplement. Lin Yao pressed the metal box. Report to Gao Zhe himself for clear instructions. Not now. Don't choose for me. I'll talk about it later. These 3 sentences were hammered into the version room's archives like nails. The Atlas mirror shows its first noticeable pause. 325. There are 2 minutes left in the sync window. Xinwan suddenly shouted. The path is located. Taipei Mirror is not in a single data center. Rather, it is a decentralized mirror. 3 core nodes. First, the North Bank Digital Archive Center. Second, Anshu Cloud provides external backup. Third, an unknown node, labeled CivicSim/Citizen Sandbox. Citizen Sandbox. Tang Jinghong's expression changed. That's a simulated environment that the city uses to test policy processes. Lin Yao was shocked. The third core of the Atlas Taipei mirror is actually hidden in the government policy simulation environment. That said, Lo Wen's isn't just leveraging existing processes. He might have been simulating an entire city's remedial policies in a civic sandbox. 326. The Atlas image sent its last response. Anti-baselines cannot be included in city models. It is recommended to isolate the source of anti-baseline. Source tag, Obsidian safe point. Everyone's expressions changed. Atlas is going to label Obsidian safe points as isolation sources. If this flag takes effect, all subsequent nodes connected to the Obsidian process may be regarded as sources of pollution by the system. The real goal of Luo Wence's counterattack was to cut through the city's defense line and Obsidian. Lin Yao looked at the mark and didn't panic. He had known this day would come. That's why he issued the Obsidian border statement before. He lets all nodes send back at the same time. Anti-baseline source is not a single Obsidian safe point. Sources include Municipal Government Data Management, Mingda Hospital, 3rd Field Team, 2nd Research Team Storage, Medical Ethics, Process Collaboration Network, and Multi-Party Witnesses. A single private node must not be used to isolate the entire city defense line. This time, the response was not from Lin Yao. It is issued jointly by all nodes. The Atlas marker is stuck. Multiple sources. Cannot isolate at a single point. 327. The synchronization window closes. The black empty frame disappears. All screens return to normal. There was silence around the long table. No one cheered. Because this is not victory. Only the first counterattack was successful. Xinhuan looked at the tracking results, his voice hoarse. We found the Taipei Mirror 3 core. The North Bank Archive Center has been closed. And Shuyun's external backup has not been touched yet. The Citizen Sandbox requires authorization from the highest levels of city government. Tang Jingheng said in a deep voice. I'll handle it. Lin Yao looked at the metal box. A system prompt appears. Anti-baseline synchronization successful. Atlas Taipei Mirror 3 cores exposed. The urban defense line is not isolated at a single point. New status, anti-baseline pollution. Atlas cannot model the Obsidian city defense line. Next main line, Citizen Sandbox. Citizen Sandbox. If it was really contaminated by Atlas, Luo Wentz may have been simulating how to get the entire city to accept the correction system. The true core of the second half of Season 3 has finally emerged. Underscore 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 underscore. The Citizen Sandbox is no ordinary system. It is not an officially launched city government platform. Nor does it serve the public directly. It is a policy simulation environment. The city uses it to test new policy processes. For example, how to run a subsidy application. How to exchange data across offices. How to divert disaster response notifications. How do medical care, social welfare, education, and household administration cooperate in special events? In theory, it's just a sandbox. It will not affect the actual data. Notifications will not be sent directly. Household registration will not be changed. Subsidies will not be stopped. Can't dispatch people. But the third core of Atlas Taipei Mirror is hidden here, which means that things are completely different. If Luo Wentz pollutes the Citizen Sandbox, he can't do more than directly control the present. But to control future policy, he can simulate it repeatedly in the sandbox. What would happen if the city created a unified roster? What would happen if proofs of stability were generalized? What happens if a missing person needs to be rebused before they can return? What would happen if a hospital used an outsourced stabilization core? What happens if social welfare marks the withdrawn person as needing follow-up? Then, he can select a set of corrective policy options that are most easily accepted by the government, least likely to be resisted by the public, and most consistent with administrative efficiency. This is scarier than the fake supplement that has already happened. Fake supplements are events. The pollution in the Citizen Sandbox is the embryo of the future system. When Tang Jingheng applied for authorization from the highest level of the city government, the atmosphere in the conference room was heavy. Because once it is admitted that the Citizen Sandbox is contaminated, a huge storm will arise within the city government. All policies that have been recently sandboxed will be reviewed. It's not even just the synchronization-related policies of God's domain. But it won't work without checking. At 3:50, authorization came down. Tang Jingheng's voice was very tired. We can come in. But you can only enter the system to synchronize the relevant simulation partitions. The data governance representative added. If pollution spillover is found, the authority will be expanded. Lin Yao nodded. He didn't ask for full throttle right away. Government systems have their own boundaries. Even if we are pursuing Atlas, we cannot use the crisis as an excuse to expand our powers indefinitely. Otherwise, they will become another kind of Atlas. The entrance to the citizen sandbox is open. The picture is a virtual city model. District offices, hospitals, schools, police stations, social welfare centers, household administration, logistics, and data centers are all presented in the form of nodes. Each node has a flow line. Tang Jinghong said, "This is a policy process simulation diagram. Normally, only fake information will be used." After Qinwan checked, his expression quickly changed. It's not all fake information. Some of it is fake information, but the structure is abstracted from real events. For example, missing person A, dependent B, medical center C, social welfare window D. Ostensibly a pseudonym. However, the process model obviously comes from the events of Feng Yuan, Gao Zhe, Su Ruoqing, He Wenhao, and other incidents. This is not necessarily a violation. Policy simulations would have used abstract cases. The problem is, there is a set of models in the sandbox that are automatically generating policy recommendations. Name: Urban Stability Response Model. Version: Atlas Sim 0.9. When everyone saw this name, their hearts sank. Atlas isn't just hiding in a sandbox. It already has a policy simulation version in the sandbox. Qinwan ordered Atlas Sim 0.9. There are several sets of policy plans in it. Option 1, Centralized Roster Model. Option 2, Stable Proof Mode. Option 3, High-Risk Transshipment Mode. Option 4, Rebusing Regression Model. Option 5, Decentralized Collaboration Model. The fifth one looks like a process collaboration network. But Lin Yao felt something was wrong at first glance. He clicked on the Distributed Collaboration mode. On the surface it says, no centralized roster. But the details were added. Each unit generates stable points locally. The municipal level does not save individual cases, but saves cross-unit stable summaries. Those who withdraw will not have their qualifications deducted, but will be included in the list of people who need care and tracking. Those who are currently missing the personal version will be reminded of subsequent completion. Medical plugin does not start automatically, but can be prompted by the suggested model. This is an Atlas solution disguised as an urban defense line. It absorbed Lin Yao's language. No roster is created. No qualifications will be deducted. My own version is currently missing. Medical care is not automatic. But behind each sentence, there is an entrance for revision. Local stability points. Cross-unit summary. Needs care and tracking. Reminder for subsequent completion. Suggested model hints. Qinwan whispered. It's learning from us. Lin Yao nodded. And I learn quickly. This is the price of anti-base synchronization. Atlas exposes locations but also absorbs their rules language. It no longer directly pushes for a unified roster. Instead, we started working on a revised version that looks in line with the city's defense line. This is harder to identify than it originally was. Tang Jinghong's face turned pale when he saw it. If this plan is presented to decision makers, many people may accept it. Because it's not as rough as the previous unified roster. It would say, we respect non-concentration. We respect withdrawals. We respect that our version is temporarily unavailable. But for continued care and efficiency, local scoring, cross-unit summaries and follow-up reminders are still needed. Sounds reasonable. In fact, it changes the logic of correction. Lin Yao wrote on the whiteboard. Pseudo-collaboration mode. Features: on the surface, it uses safe languages such as scatter, withdrawal, and temporary vacancy, but actually retains scoring, tracking, completion reminders, and model suggestions. Danger, absorbing the language of urban defense lines into correction process packaging. A system prompt appears. New high-risk type, pseudo-cooperation mode. Effect, identify the flexible revised version policy generated after Atlas absorbs the Obsidian rules. Tang Jingheng immediately requested to lock Atlas Sim 0.9. But the sandbox system prompts. This model is a policy testing tool and has not been officially adopted. Deletion may affect subsequent policy comparisons. Lin Yao said. Don't delete it. Tang Jingheng looked at him. Don't delete it? Seal it. Lin Yao said. It's evidence. It's also a sample of how the enemy will disguise themselves next. If we delete it, we will lose the teaching materials. This is in line with the principle of responsible storage. The hazard model cannot be online. But it cannot be deleted completely. It is necessary to seal, isolate, and label it as a training sample for future firewalls. Tang Jingheng nodded. Archive Atlas Sim 0.9. The data governance representative added. Also create a model output review. Lin Yao said. One more thing to add, policy models must not learn to use security language to bypass security principles. This sentence is very confusing. But it's critical. Text firewalls can't just catch dangerous words. Also watch out for misuse of safe words. For example, if care becomes tracking. If reminder becomes a reminder. If collaboration becomes data integration. Temporary vacancy if it becomes to be completed. Support if it becomes an external process entry. Lin Yao organized it into the third criterion. Safe words must not carry control functions that are originally prohibited. The first criterion, safe text increases the choice, and dangerous text narrows the choice. Second criterion, if you can be specific, don't use abstract words that can be corrected. Third criterion, safe words must not carry control functions. The text firewall has now entered its second stage. Not only guard against dangerous words. It also prevents safe words from being hijacked. Deepen the sandbox. After Atlas Sim 0.9 was sealed, a deeper module emerged in the system. Policy Stress Test Record. Xin opened it. It shows multiple simulations. Simulation question. How to get people to accept stable confirmation. How to reduce withdrawal rate. How to improve the completion of family authorization. How can schools proactively report unstable students? How to get hospitals to use plug-in psychological support. How to get the missing returnees to accept the narrative arrangement. Each question has multiple sets of vocabulary and process tests. Lin Yao's face became darker and darker as he looked at these questions. This is not a mere policy simulation. This is a promotion test of the supplementary and corrective system. It's testing how to get entire cities to make amends. Tang Jingheng's voice was cold. This is not a city-approved test. The data governance representative also said. This is beyond sandbox use. Xin suddenly stopped when he saw one of the test records. Here are Luo Wence's handwritten notes. Notes are short. Don't force the city. Let cities choose their own efficiency. When people get tired of clutter, they will ask for Atlas. There was dead silence in the conference room. This is Luo Wence's real strategy. He's not trying to force everyone to make corrections right from the start. He's going to cause enough chaos. Missing. Replacements. Hospital. Version. Prove. Fake timeline. Witness attack. When cities get tired of the chaos, they will demand a system that can quickly organize everything. At that point, Atlas no longer looked like an enemy. It will be like a solution. Lin Yao whispered. This is the scariest thing about Atlas. It's not about defeating the city. It's about asking the city to invite it. A system prompt appears. Atlas Core Strategy Confirmation. Strategy: create chaos fatigue and make cities voluntarily choose a high-efficiency correction system. New high-risk concept: efficiency surrender. Efficiency surrenders. When people are so tired that they no longer want to layer, censor, protect, or endure incomplete narratives, they will say, forget it, let's unify. That moment is when Atlas truly enters the city. Lin Yao looked at the virtual city in the sandbox. Each node is on. They are all waiting for a faster answer. The answer given by Obsidian City defense line was very slow. Be layered. To check. To withdraw. Please confirm in person. To remain vacant. Respect incompleteness. These are slow. But precisely because of the slowness, the talents were not flattened. Lin Yao wrote on the sandbox whiteboard. The city cannot give up the position of people because of exhaustion. Efficiency must not become an entry point for correction. Slowness does not mean failure. The metal box lights up. New rule: slowness does not equal failure. Effect: resist Atlas uses efficiency and chaos fatigue to promote voluntary correction of the city. Tang Jinghong looked at this sentence and smiled bitterly. This sentence is difficult to push in the government. Lin Yao said. Then push even more. Because once everyone just wants to go fast, Atlas wins. Underscore 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 underscore. The concept of efficiency surrender caused the most controversy after it was added to the process collaboration network. Not everyone is against it. But many people are uncomfortable. Because it is like a mirror, reflecting the most common fatigue in the real system. The social welfare window has insufficient manpower. School counselors face hundreds of students by themselves. Emergency medical care is always in a hurry. Household administration and funeral directors deal with large amounts of documents every day. The police political consultative conference sometimes requires cross-unit coordination until late at night. Government information systems are old and outsourcing vendors come and go. In this case, a system that can automatically organize, quickly score, unify triage, and reduce communication costs is indeed very attractive. Atlas does not seduce people out of thin air. It captures real exhaustion. Tang Jinghong said this in an internal meeting. We can't just call Atlas a malicious system. It's coming in because units really need efficiency. If the process collaboration network just tells everyone to be more careful, more hierarchical, and more manual, it will not be able to hold on. This sentence made Lin Yao silent for a long time. Tang Jinghong is right. The urban defense line cannot just add to the burden. If every process requires frontline staff to do 10 times more work, sooner or later it will be abandoned. By then, Atlas will be back with less effort. Therefore, surrendering to resistance to efficiency is not counter-efficiency. It's about establishing efficiency that doesn't swallow people up. Lin Yao wrote the new direction on the whiteboard. Efficiency that does not swallow people. This is not a slogan. It must be translated into a concrete design. First, common error files should be recalled with one click. Withdrawal of wrong supplements, wrong stability certificates, and wrong white tower terms should not be judged manually every time. As long as it matches the source of the error in the timeline, it can be quickly withdrawn. Second, field questions should be short. Schools, hospitals, social welfare, and household administration cannot memorize a bunch of complicated rules. Only 3 to 5 low-stimulus questions are needed for each field. Third, the red line must be clear. For example, requiring proof of stability, requiring supplements and corrections before granting subsidies, requiring the missing to have a rebase before returning home, and requiring family members to make supplements and corrections for the missing. When you encounter the red line, stop directly. Fourth, the gray area is artificial. Not all incidents enter the high sensitivity process. Only if it involves corrections, missing transfers, misuse of death, substitution of your own version, etc., it will be upgraded. Fifth, let the front line have replicable skills. It's not about how they want to be appeased. Instead, provide safe alternative representations. These designs transform the process collaboration network from one more set of reviews to fewer mistakes. Xinhuan organized it into quick process cards. People's version 3 are not acceptable. Don't click on unfamiliar links. There is no rush to supplement stable information. Failure to fill in the form will not be considered as disqualification. You can check the withdrawal window. School edition, 3 questions and 1 pause. Have you received a correction or stabilization notice? Is it affecting sleep, safety, or being asked to go to an unfamiliar location? Do you need to call me temporarily or postpone your answer? When encountering stability certificate, rebase, and transfer requirements, stop first. Medical version, 3 separations. Body events and corrections are separated. Medical consent and amendment consent are separated. Emergency treatment and outsourcing are stably separated. Social welfare version, 3 don'ts. No points will be deducted for withdrawal. No points will be deducted due to temporary names. Assistance may not be provided without asking for corrections. Missing edition, 3 confirmed. Confirm my location. Confirm destination and responsible person. Confirmation of Zexan's authorization does not equal consent to corrections. These cards are simple. It's so simple that it doesn't look like an advanced strategy. But that's why they work. The first line does not need to understand the entire atlas. Just know which words to stop when you encounter them, which sentences to say, and which situations to refer to. A system prompt appears. New addition to the Process Collaboration Network, Quick Process Card. Effect: reduce the operational burden on frontline personnel on the urban defense line. New rule: resisting Atlas does not mean increasing unlimited labor costs. After Tang Jinghong saw this, he finally relaxed a little. This can be pushed. Shin Jibai also said. The medical version of the 3 separations can be directly reported to the emergency department. A representative from the Social Affairs Bureau said that Social Welfare version 3 is not very suitable to be placed on the homepage of the hosting system. The Education Bureau requested that the school version be made into a guidance room poster. This was the beginning of the urban defense line truly becoming an institutional tool. Not everyone has to be Lin Yao. Not every unit needs to understand all the dark tides in the system. As long as they don't push people to make corrections in key places, they can already block a lot of things. But Atlas didn't stop. In the Citizen Sandbox, after Atlas Sim 0.9 was sealed, another more covert simulation appeared. Name: Low Friction Collaboration Model. It's not as blatant as Atlas Sim 0.9. There are no stability points in it. No rebase. No corrections. It uses all safe words. Caring reminder. Service connection. Accompany tracking. Reminder of unfinished items. Caregiver support. But Xinhuan soon discovered that these safe words were still followed by the same thing. Let the incomplete be completed. Let the vacancies be filled. Make people who withdraw reconsider. Let people who don't share be reminded to share. Let uncertified persons be prompted to obtain certificates. This is pseudo-collaboration a step further. No danger words. Don't even use abstraction to stabilize it. Just use reminder. Reminders can be gentle. It can also be annoying. When a person gets "you haven't completed the return narrative supplement" every 3 days, that's not a reminder. It's chronic oppression. Lin Yao wrote in the 4th criterion of the text firewall. Reminders must not turn into continuous pressure. Unfinished items require the right to close, postpone, and not be reminded. Care tracking needs to be exitable and cannot exist indefinitely. Xin Wan added. A vacancy is not a to-do item. As soon as this sentence came out, everyone felt it was accurate. The personal version is currently unavailable and is not in the system to-do list. The temporary name is not pending restoration to the original name. Withdrawal is not pending reconsent. Incomplete narratives are not tasks to be completed. They are valid states of the present moment. It can be changed, but it cannot be pushed. A system prompt appears. New rule: temporary vacancies are not to-do items. Effect: reduce Atlas to continuously force individuals to complete the work in the form of reminders, care, and unfinished items. After this rule was formed, the low-friction collaboration model in the Citizen Sandbox was also marked red. Atlas is starting to lose more camouflage space. However, it also revealed something else. All models in the sandbox point to a common objective function: maximizing urban stability and efficiency. Lin Yao looked at this objective function and suddenly realized the source of the problem. Atlas is not only wrong in its means. Its goals are wrong. What it pursues is maximizing urban stability and efficiency. But cities are not all about stability. It's not all about efficiency either. Cities need safety. Rights are needed. Responsibility is required. Needs to be fixed. People need to be allowed to come back slowly. If the objective function is only stable efficiency, then everyone will be flattened sooner or later. Lin Yao wrote on the Sandbox homepage. Urban Defense Line Objective Function. It is not about maximizing stable efficiency, but rather maintain boundaries between safety, rights, responsibilities, repairs, and necessary efficiency. Tang Jinghong frowned as he looked at this sentence. It's not like a program can calculate it. Lin Yao said. So we can't leave it to a single model. It can only be maintained by multiple responsible nodes. This is the fundamental difference between Atlas and city defense. Atlas wants to use one map to calculate cities uniformly. Urban defense acknowledges that some things cannot be calculated in one map. A system prompt appears. Confirmation of core targets of urban defense line. 5-dimensional boundary of safety, rights, responsibility, repair, and necessary efficiency. Effect: maximize the stable efficiency against Atlas single target. Citizen Sandbox pollution controlled. Tang Jinghong ordered the suspension of all divine domain synchronization policy models in the Citizen Sandbox. Atlas Sim 0.9, low-friction collaboration model, stable proof diffusion model, and missing regression consolidation model are all isolated and sealed. At the same time, the Process Collaboration Network Quick Process Card was included in the official interim guidance. This is an important victory. However, the Atlas main control terminal has not yet been positioned. 2.5 of the Taipei Mirror 3 cores were dismantled. The North Bank Archive Center is closed. The Citizen Sandbox is controlled. The remaining external backup of Anshu Cloud remains untouched. And there is probably the most direct connection between Atlas and Luo Wentz. Xin Wan looked at Inshu Yun's external backup location. It's not local. Cross-border? Not quite. She zoomed in on the network routing. It's like being on an offshore cloud, but with a local proxy node. Where is the agent node? Xinhuan paused for a few seconds. Skyscraper Financial Center. Lin Yao looked at the map. It is the tallest commercial and office building in the city center. A large number of financial, technology, and information services companies rent offices there. Anshu Data also set up a temporary office there. Xinhuan whispered. The local proxy node is under the name of a shell company. Company name: Atlas Insurance Management Consultant. Atlas finally revealed the shell of the real company from the shadows. The next battle will no longer be a sandbox. It is an agent node in a high-rise building in the financial center. Underscore 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 underscore.